Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, remove your hats. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we all sit down, I'd like to take a moment for reflection on the Las Vegas problems they're having out there. So if you don't mind, we'll just take a few seconds. Okay, thank you. Okay, today is Monday, October the 2nd, 2017. The time is 5 p.m. The meeting of the Greensburg Board of Works is called to order. At this time, please silence electronic devices. Better check one. Okay. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back room. It's over by the little gray box over there. So, Ashley, would you call roll call, please?
Carol Perkins. Here. Rick Enslower.
Here.
Clint Tenney.
Here.
Daryl Fuller. Here.
Okay. Thanks. It shows that we don't need a approval of minutes from September the 5th, 2017.
We'll move approval.
Second.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. No old business. New business, parking issue, Kathy.
Good evening. Let me get this taken home. Can I come back?
Are you ready to go, Amy? I will wait.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting you to just leave me. Okay, back in mid-September.
No, it's not.
Sorry. Wrong board. Apologize, Daryl. Sorry.
Brothers.
I'll look for you.
Yeah.
Well, yay,
Okay.
sorry. Back in the middle of September, and kind of before that, we had received numerous complaints about the property located at 639 West North Street. And so we wrote them up for unkempt properties because the location of this alley right here, as you can see right here, there was some wood that was within the alley right away. And in most cases, when I say most cases, not always, most cases, Duke Energy will set their power poles right on the alley right away. And for the most part, that is the case here. So after the Merritts, Howard and Chris Merritt, received their letter, and they both came in and we talked over what issues there was going on. And there had been some previous issues with parking in the past that the police department has dealt with. So in doing so, you know, I told them the situation with the wood and about the parking. So they abided by that. They moved the wood pile back. And as you can see, it is now back behind the power poles. There's a better picture of it. So we were pleased with the way they cleaned up the property, and all seemed to be good. And then Chris Merritt came in the other day and asked me if he could petition the Board of Works to appeal the case about parking in the alleyway. And that's why I'm here this evening. He would like to remain to park in front of his property in this location. As you can see, it looks like there was parking here from I don't know how long ago. And the alley, if you notice on the aerial, it kind of looks like the alley has shifted because I don't know if parking here in the past or, you know, I don't know how long the wood pile's been there, but the alley has shifted over the years to move around. So they are present this evening, and there's other pictures looking up the alley. Oh, sorry, they're. So basically, I'd like to, Chris, if you want to come forward.
Kathy, what's the address again?
639 West North Street.
Okay.
Chris Merritt, property owner, 639 West North Street. The thing that I have an issue with, years ago, when that was Herbert's Saw Shop, there's no parking on West Street whatsoever. That's where they park. Later on, the accountant wanted to put a motorcycle shop in there. It went to the board meeting. It was okay to park there. Well, there's no business there. It's city right of way. So I don't understand what's changed, why can't I park there to have short I got one vehicle out front, and a lot of times I gotta park it in the yard because everybody's got visitors and I can't even park out front on a one-way street. So, and Dad parks back here to help alleviate the parking spots in the front. And he's 74 years old.
Whose property is that gravel? Was that
It's actually the city.
Herbert's?
It's the city's. It's all city property from the electric pole out.
Okay. But the building, is there a building beside that picture?
Yes.
Okay, what building is that? Is that
It
yours?
used to be the Herbert Saw Shop.
Okay,
Merle and Ruby Herbert owned it originally.
okay,
Now her daughter owns it.
okay. Any questions, guys?
I guess my question would be to maybe the police chief or fire chief, if there's any type of safety issue for even considering this. I mean, I'm not trying to put the onus on you, but.
No, it's like Kathy just said, you know, there is an ordinance in that. I have went out and checked it out both times, and before knowing about the poles and that, like I said, the truck was off of the alleyway parked in that gravel spot to where the alleyway was open. But again, it just depends on our issue's gonna be with it being an ordinance, then are we gonna open this up for everybody to come in and fight on the alley parking? I don't know. I mean, it's, I mean, I understand his concerns on North Street parking, with it being the one way and the one side being no parking. I understand that. So, like I said, it's just,
Can you park in that garage area? I mean, these lumber's all gone, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
All the wood, so you
Yeah.
can't park right behind your garage?
Well, from the electric pole out, it's considered
That's
city
what-
right of way.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
it'll still
say.
be in the right of way.
The picture and the layout we got here confusing.
Mhm.
Because if you look at the lines on the picture, yeah, it's almost up against the building. The alley is actually hidden.
Now, Herbert Salt
The other
Shop
side's yard.
was there over 40 years, so, you know, it was. So that's the reason why the alley has moved through the years.
Run right, or
So-
we need to survey it.
Well, is the alley actually where your parking area is initially, and it has morphed to the, well, as I'm looking at it, to the right, to the south. And is that city property as an alley, or is that property that's just been kind of
Well, that I could.
taken over because that's where people have driven, due to the other people being parked there for a business?
Yeah. That part I couldn't tell you.
You know, we almost need to know what the survey says. Looking at it, just as you look at it now on those other pictures they had, there appears to be a roadway that's passable if and when you have a vehicle parked there for short-term, temporary times. But if that's not actual alley, in terms of property alley, that way we gotta take another kind of look at other people's property rights as well as what's in the best interest of everybody around. You know, it's a good question. I don't know if we can give you an answer in it tonight.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, you know, it wasn't 10 years ago Nick Hampton had that motorcycle shop in there. And I was the only one to come up for the board meeting. And the only thing I asked, at that time, I was parking down along the side of the garage, down by my fence, is don't block me in because I take care of mom. I gotta get
Right,
out.
right.
And he said, that's fine, no problem. I can do that. But it was approved for him then, 10 years ago, that he could have customers parking right there where it shows the vehicle sitting.
And so, okay, do you have any other questions? I know there are some neighbors here.
Now, like I said, just looking at the drawing, the alley is, without seeing survey stakes and knowing exactly where that alley's at,
Well, I have a question. Is there a problem with the neighbors? Is there a problem with the neighbors?
Yes,
And
that's
what
why
is
I'm
that?
here.
Okay, what is that?
They don't like me, they want me out of there, and it just ain't happening. I pay my taxes, I ain't never missed a payment, and I shouldn't have to move just because they don't like me.
Said they're here to state their case.
Yeah, they're here. So, well, let's hear from Jerry. And Jerry's is here. Hey, Jerry,
Well, like you
Hey,
said,
Jerry.
there was.
tell them who you are.
Oh,
Everybody knows you
My
like
name
I
is
do.
Jerry Herder. The salt shop he's referring to was my father's salt shop for years. And the gravel there with the grass in it, that was the actual alley from all the way. You look out the windows on one side of the building.
Excuse me, Jerry, would you mind just stepping up there and point to where you're,
Okay. The alley came straight down through here. This was the alley, straight all the way to the street. When Dad put the salt shop in, you have another view of the property. When Dad put the salt shop in, he was having people stop in the alley. So he bought the property across the alley. He put us a parking area behind the house across the alley. Tore the building down and put a parking area. Can you show that aerial view of the property? He bought across the alley, and he made this parking areas all the way to the edge of this, all the way to the edge of the street there. That was all gravel to put in as parking areas. The alley still was supposed to run down right straight through there. And that basically is the property line where the blue line is. That blue line is real close to 160 feet from the back side of the sidewalk, which is really close to the property line. So actually, if somebody parks there, they have to go on our property to go around it. And we don't have things parked there all the time, but I don't feel like we need to give our property up and make an alley out of it. That's what I was thinking.
Can I say something? I'm
Wait a
also
minute,
there.
wait a minute.
So
Let him finish
I understand
first.
it was that way all the times we was doing salt shop work and everything. And like I say, my dad told everybody not to block the alley. Nobody blocked the alley because they parked across it while Dad was there.
So who owns that property that's across, is that your property?
Yeah, that's mine and my sister's now.
On the part that you bought behind it?
Yeah, this here was my mother's house and she just died recently. So this belongs to my sister and I. This belongs to my sister. And this belongs to me.
Anything else, guys? Okay.
I'm Robert Merritt, Howard's son. Chris is my brother. Now, as you guys see, Jerry said that alley went straight before. If that is the case, there's a tree right there where he said the alley went straight at, and they moved it over after years. So is that tree a part of the alley now?
It could be.
I mean, that's,
It could
because
be.
in that one picture, it shows the tree. If you look, it shows the tree right dead in the middle where that grassy area is. So if you go straight ahead,
Go ahead, tree.
yes. See it? See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because he's saying this here is originally where the alley was. Well, if that's the case, you're hitting that tree, you're gonna hit that garage behind that tree, and their telephone pole. So how is that ever the alley right over here? That's my question. That's all I got. That's
Okay.
my 2 cents.
No, thanks.
Okay.
Chris? Okay. Jerry?
Ken, you got any old aerial views of that?
No, I just have.
I've got one out in the truck.
I've got one right here.
Well, that's
The older one?
Oh, that's.
I looked at it all. I can show you where the alley was because there was a garage down there in the corner of the alley. All that down there. And everything went right along exactly, all the way through, actually to the west side of this building. If you look at the west side of this building, all the way down that alley, straight all the way. It's how the curve is. And Odie's wife came up here and she said that she wrote them a letter, asked them to take care of the alley when they started putting the wood in, because that was one of the best maintained alleys in Decatur County, in the Greensburg or any area. She wrote a special letter. She didn't give me a copy of it. She said she would. I didn't think I needed it.
Okay. Okay.
You want me to get the whole area?
Well, let's see what these guys think so far. Okay, thanks, Jerry. Sis got anything to say? Okay, no problem. What's your feeling, guys?
Okay, if Mr. Merritt has problems parking out front and due to his age, is there any way that he could get a special parking space out front since it, I don't know, I'm wondering.
They used to do that many years
Oh,
ago,
did
but
they
they've kind
They
of,
don't do that.
kinda got
Okay,
away
well, I
from
just
it
wondered
a
if
little
that
bit.
would be an answer
Yeah,
that he would park
good.
out front. And why can't they use the garage? Is there a reason you can't use your garage to pull the car
Other than the
in?
wood being there. According to what I'm told, even if I move the wood and I park the truck back here by my garage, it's still considered out in the alley.
But in the garage, you can't pull it in the garage?
No, I got too much stuff in the garage.
Okay, thank you.
That's where I keep all my stuff, the firewood, the chainsaws and this and that and the other.
So,
But I heat with wood.
understood. If, as you look at this, and I'm just trying to understand, I don't think any of us are prepared to try and make a decision tonight without a lot more specific information, but as you look at that other picture, it doesn't show it so much on this one, but there is a driveway. Now, whether that driveway is considered an alley or considered on the gentleman's property, or how it's being used today, I guess is the question, how it's being used and how it's been used in recent times. That's another factor I think I'd like to know more about from not only those people involved, but others in the area or other city perspective, in order to make it, trying to see how this might be resolved in some way that's equitable.
The past couple times, Dad, well, since you got the wood moved back, I got a rope there where our property line's supposed to be, behind the electric poles. Dad's been pulling his truck there, and there's been one person that comes up to there and comes up the grass and then like he's gonna hit Dad's truck, and it's like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Because you're getting off in the grass. It's not like, you know, even out back of my garage, it's, you know, I really don't know what else to do.
Well, what I see, and it looks like to me is like, I understand when Jerry said that Dad built the parking space across. Basically, the parking space became the driveway, and not because the poles. If you look at those poles, I think they're supposed to be driving down between them poles to go down the alley,
Right.
and that's the old alley. And when Jerry's dad did this across, everything's shifted this south. Because you look at the property line, the alleys, he almost owns the whole alley where the parking space is.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be an alley where he's at. So it should be shifted back to the north. And I don't know how to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Say it's illegal.
Right.
Survey, you can't. Once you determine where the alley's at, then you know what width you got and where you're at.
Right.
That will leave the restriction.
Yeah, the whole purpose of an alley, I think, is a matter of public safety more than anything else, and an egress for property owners, as opposed to it is a public right of way, but it's more of a, and not necessarily equipped for parking or long-term kinds of things, more short-term delivery or take, yeah, I think we have to take a longer look at this.
So do you guys want to table this so that we can
I'd like
study
to
it
table
more?
it and see if we can get some more information.
Get some more information and we'll get back with you next month.
Is it okay to park back here until then, or?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't know where to go, you know.
Right now, I'm pulling up the sawdust for the wood pile.
Where the wood could be in the.
Where is Paul now?
You can take a semi truck and go to cut the limbs on that tree. That's it, I'm gone, bye.
Okay, bye.
Dad, you gotta love him.
I know. No problem. But what, well,
I agree with these guys. I mean, we have to have some more concrete information, surveys, or, whatever. But we just can't make it on a picture, make a decision on a picture.
We gotta go.
Yeah, maybe even drive out there and look at it. That's a good idea.
because is he parking on the other side of the poles? Is he parking on the other side of the poles?
Yeah.
He's parking now over where the wood pile was. Is that right? Yeah, he's parking between these two poles. Back to the poles.
Yeah, that's what I told Gary.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, let's table this.
Make a motion to table this until we get more information.
Okay. Second? Second.
No, they should.
So we're gonna table until we figure out exactly what's going on. So we'll go from there.
Is it okay to park here where the wood was, or?
Chris,
I-
just leave it, lay for a minute.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let's check first before I say, I'm not gonna say yes or no, but just, we'll see what we can do. Okay, Chris?
Okay.
Hey, thank you for all of you coming in, I appreciate it, guys. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
new survey, Andy?
We need, wasn't it?
Andy Scholle, I'm here representing Yale Industrial Products. This has to do with the extension of McKee Street that went back to the old American Lifts property. This has all kind of been brought up because they have a potential buyer, but part of the agreement to purchase that property is they have to have a legal right-of-way or easement to get back to the property. So I started researching this. There was a right-of-way done back in 1984. Pace Engineering surveyed it. Les Herman was the owner at the time. I got a copy of the survey from the company formerly known as Pace Engineering. Les Herman signed it. It was notarized, but they never recorded the survey. I got a copy of the meeting minutes from the Board of Works from September 4th, 1984. The Board of Works approved the extension of McKee Street, but that's just the meeting minutes, and I've got an unrecorded survey. There's some current deeds that reference property lines that go to the dedicated right-of-way of McKee Street, but since they never recorded the survey, because the survey at that time in 1984 had the deed of dedication certificate on it, where now I think we prepare a separate document, accepting a public right-of-way. So I have discussed this with Chris Tebby and Kathy and Ron and the mayor, and they came up with the conclusion to, we need to prepare a new survey I think that's what you guys are looking at there. Chris prepared a deed of dedication certificate. I've also checked with Ron May. I believe Ron told me that this extension is about 3/4 of an acre, is on the NDOT highway road inventory
For the city.
So, I mean, I've got a bunch of evidence that this extension of McKee Street was supposed to be a public right-of-way. It's just, we feel like they did not finish the paperwork in 1984. And this buyer, you know, he will not purchase the American List Factory until we have an official document, you know, for right-of-way back there to the property. It actually landlocks, if we don't have this document, it landlocks the American List property, and there's a farm field that's owned by Matt Davis. Both of those properties would be landlocked. So I got a survey. I've also got the deed of dedication. I don't know if you guys have any questions, if the audience have any questions about the survey, but I'm here to ask if the city will sign off on this again, and then I will record it so it officially becomes a public right-of-way.
And Chris has been involved with this the whole way. So,
Like I said, Chris prepared the deed of dedication, the actual certificate, which I have here.
Well, it's too bad it wasn't followed through once before. That's all that makes sense, we better follow through.
And I can show you the survey from 1984, but you can't record that, and it looks like Pace Engineering wrote a whole bunch of numbers on it, like when they were doing the next survey where Bill Blaisdell's factory is. So there's a bunch of other handwriting, and that's the only copy that they could find from the company formerly known as Pace Engineering. They don't do surveying or engineering work anymore, but they can still provide me.
But you're assuring us now that you have the proper survey work in terms of layout, exact
Yes.
location for the public right-of-way, all the way back to the property, the American List property.
Yes.
How does that act, does that farm field access prior to American List, or is it through American List?
No, it's prior. If you look,
This sheet here?
this sheet right here, here's where there's 80 feet. Well,
Okay.
this is where American Lives property goes.
Uh-huh.
This is a 60-foot strip that Matt Davis owns, where he comes up the right of way, and then his 60-foot strip to access the farm field goes back here.
Before you go to the American States.
Before you go through
Okay.
American's Gates.
I got you, all right.
Kind
I
of
think
clean,
it's kind of a gravel driveway.
Mm-hmm,
there.
mm-hmm.
Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, Sheriff's Department there. This is Bill Blaisdell's
Right.
factory. Yeah, these are the two properties that are currently Davis and
So basically.
And this is just the right of way,
Here,
this is.
Did you get surveyed from here, back?
all the way
All
from
the way
either
from Ireland?
street, all the way back.
Even though there's a street there now.
Yes, there's a street there. I showed, we located all the pavement.
All we're really doing is filling in the legal work as opposed to any kind of physical thing that's happening.
Right, we're not asking to build or put in any new infrastructure or pavement or street. We're just asking it.
And-
Clean up the.
Yeah, and this piece that goes, is just a right of way, this 60 footer, is it actually his?
No, this 60 foot actually belongs to Matt Davis.
Right, okay.
The right of way stops right here.
All right,
It's 50 feet where it comes off Ireland Street, and then it comes back, there's a ditch right here,
Mhm.
and then it opens up to where it's 80 feet wide back there on this side. So in all the deeds, when you read all the deeds, Pace Engineering surveyed all the surrounding property, because all that belongs to Les Herman. And all the surrounding deeds go to this right-of-way of McKee Street. All the deeds reference this, but like I said, they didn't follow through and record that survey. So we're not taking any property from any of the surrounding landowners. Really, that whole strip, that 3/4 of an acre, is kind of in no man's land because it's not in any of their deeds. So we're not.
but we've been maintaining, more or less.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know, I think there's a lot of question as who owned it. I've heard from neighbors that for a while the city maintained it, and then they stopped maintaining it because they didn't have any records, so they didn't want to like do the snow removal and maintain it if they weren't for sure that the city actually owned it, or had the right of way. So I've heard from like Bill Blaisdell and stuff out there that
Okay. Seems like it's, good home right now.
just clean it up.
Second? I would move that we approve the survey results for the extension of McKee Street in right-of-way.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Do you want me to get your, do you want me to get your signatures after the meeting if you want to continue on with business?
I don't know why you need signatures.
We don't want to do what we did 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. Just the top, right?
Yeah, I think.
Have you seen the dedication?
Saying, well, you guys take care of the streets, you can fix the water on it. Have you seen the road? There's nothing left of
They're boys.
Yeah, what?
Get this, come down and sign it. You got a pen there too. Specialty coded pen.
Yeah, I have.
Does it say anything about water and sewer lines? Communication is free
Okay, Chief Bridges. Thanks, Ingrid. Chief's gonna talk about the Canine program.
Good evening. A few weeks ago, I handed out the proposal for a possible canine proposal for the Greensburg Police Department. And I guess I'm here tonight just to see if there's any questions and possibility of moving forward. I can tell you that if I did make some phone calls today, and if the Board of Works is okay with the go ahead with this, the first, or the canine that we are looking at first buying is, or will be fully funded. I did get word today that that money will be here within a week, plus possibly additional money from a seizure that we received on a vehicle. So, and also if approved, I have been working on a new canine policy program that will be a little bit more in-depth than our prior one. So I guess I'll open it up for questions.
Chief, how soon would it be before a dog is available? Because don't they go through what, a 2-year training or?
A lot of times it's about a year to a year and a half before they actually, the dog is ready to go out. We would, if approved, we would go up, select the canine. They would begin training it there at the facility. And then once it becomes of age, then we would send whoever we select as an officer to go up there for a 6-week training. So.
Okay.
Clarification. In here you stated that you had approximate sum of money in a line item or an account
Correct.
ready. And you said just tonight that you could purchase of one would be paid for. That's new money, or is that coming from this?
That is new money. We have some, earlier this year, Mayor Manis and I had initially brought this up and talked about at least sending out donation letters to see how the community felt. Back with that letter that went out, we received a little over $2,000 from local businesses. And then the one that I checked with today is it's a local business owner, but the bank is out of Muncie. And this bank in Muncie is very pro police canine, and they funded, I believe, 2 or 3 canines through Muncie. And since he's a local business owner that has ties, then that money would be donated back to our department and would go into this line item.
Okay, so you said this has all been donated money or grants.
Correct.
What's in there is substantially more than a couple $1,000s. So this
Correct.
has been reserved from other times, other
Yes.
years?
From our previous canine programs, the money was still kept in there, and then we just built onto it this year.
Are you confident that in the cost of the canine, that program would either be paid for by donations or paid for through seizures?
I personally think both. And I think depending on, like I said, how active the dog is on what he would get off of stops or other investigations, that money could definitely be hopefully seized in the courts and put in, but we would also continually have either fundraisers or send out donation letters. And I advise the officers that if they really want this, they're definitely gonna have to be willing to possibly do some fundraising in that, because we all know canines are not cheap.
And what is the approximate cost, you think, of years for the program? What would it cost for the care of the animal as well as the other ancillary costs?
I would say around maybe 3,000, 3 to 4,000.
3 to 4?
Depends on what we work out. Like I said, in the past, we've actually had local businesses donate the food for free.
Yeah.
We've gotten a little bit of a discount in the past from local vets, and again, that's stuff that we would contact them on and build on. So.
And we've tried this more than once.
Correct.
At least in my memory. And it's seemed to go great for a short period of time, and then it
Fizzles out.
fell out.
Correct.
And so I guess, short bursts of positive work is worth it something, but it's never been maintained. And so what makes you think that this is going to be any different?
In the past, and like I said, I can't speak because I was not in administration in the past when the canine program's been going. From my observation, I was lieutenant on the shift where we did have a canine. At that time, I spoke with the chief and advised her my opinions. Some of those opinions were sought, some of them were not. And unfortunately, that canine went to the Indiana State Police. We should have never allowed a canine to be purchased or to be an owner of the officer. It should be an owner of the city or the property of the city. In the past, we've never really had a liaison for the canine program. In the policy, I actually have a sergeant's position that would oversee the actual program, and then the patrol captain will oversee the whole entirety program. So there's actually going to be 2 people involved in overseeing this canine program, because it's like I've told these guys, I'm sticking my neck out here because I do know the past and I know the problems that we have seen, and I haven't liked those, the progress that we've seen. The canine program can be very beneficial to the city. I've told the mayor that I want this to be a very successful program, and as long as I'm where I'm at, I do believe it will be. The other thing is I've really narrowed down on if the officer is in charge of this canine program, he will live within the county. There's no reason why a canine should be outside of Decatur County for response purposes. Checked with the insurance purposes. Our liability insurance will not raise significantly because the dog will be a narcotics dog only at this time. So the liability is very minimal on that. The other issue is officers got burnt out because by federal law, officers are given a half an hour a day time, and officers were building up to 400 to 500 hours of comp time. With the schedule that we do now, whoever the canine officer is would only work a 9-hour shift instead of a 10-hour shift. That way, comp time, overtime is not accumulated at a high rate like it has in the past. So all these things will be definitely documented in the policy.
As I but I've got a little history with this. So as I understood it in the past, part of the reason that Canine was successful is that the dog and the handler have a relationship, and at one point in time, I was also, the impression, whether it's true, accurate or not, the impression was that the human officer, not the canine officer, got over it, so to speak, with always the dog and coming out and so forth. What assurance do we have that we're going to have officers that want to do this and maintain it, or is it be something that somebody will be assigned, or will be more than one officer handling the dog, so that one doesn't get burnt out? How do you propose to work the personnel part of it?
Only one officer would actually be with the dog. We would not rotate officers just because of that bond they have. There's no way that I can assure you that the officer will not get burnt out. But I do have enough officers on the force right now that have said if they could be a canine, they would. So let's say that the officer gets burnt out after 2 years. You can go and you can actually send another officer through the training with this canine, and he can take over, which has been done in other cities on officers that just get burnt out or get a promotion or something to that effect. And that new canine handler will go back through that training, and the training will not be the full amount that is what is in this proposal. But yeah, I can't reassure you that an officer will not get burnt out. You know, when I first started, I always said I wanted a canine, I want a canine. But once you really dig in deep to it, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's probably about the hardest job you can have as an officer.
I think you're very well prepared. But kudos to you and the department for even pursuing something like this. This narcotics problem that we have is an epidemic, and anything that we can do to kind of thwart that or slow it down or get a handle on it, I support it.
Again, like I told the mayor, I'll stick my neck out on this one. Like I said, I do think it can be successful, and I want it to be successful. So that's why I'm coming in front of everybody tonight.
Well, you have prepared well, and I hope that it can be successful. I really would like to see that. The drug situation is, as Carol said, very, very serious, and addressing it's important.
And there will be monthly reports done that I can present to the Board of Works City Council to show what kind of activity, training, and all that the canine will have. There's actually computer programs out there, and the officer will be required to fill those out, and those will be handed out monthly along with my other monthly forms. That's not a problem.
That's a great idea, especially initially. See what we are getting, the results we're getting.
At this point in time, what you're asking is to proceed with development of policies, proceed with trying to get a dog
Correct.
begun.
I'm for it. It's good.
Keep us informed.
Okay, I definitely will. Thank you.
I guess the consensus is that we have approved this going forward.
Do we need a motion or anything, or just?
I think,
Thumbs up.
I think it'd be better if we have a motion that.
Probably would be, it sounds like the actual policy will come at a later date.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it.
But I guess we'll proceed with moving forward on policy.
So at this point, I think consensus is that we move forward. Formalization of it, I think, has to come.
Okay, works. Okay, thank you. Chief Garrett.
Good evening. I'm here today to get a selection.
Wait a minute, Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we need a motion? Yes, I'm
I
sorry.
think it'd be easier that, it would be reflected in the minutes, it'd be easier that way.
Okay.
I'll
So-
second what Lynn just said.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Okay, we're moving on policy, okay, yeah.
Okay, now,
I'm here to get a selection for a new firefighter position. I need an applicant number 1 or applicant number 2 that you have interviewed.
let's say, well, I think it was number 1.
Could we look at the list again, please? No, I don't have it.
with me.
Oh, you got it, okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, we did go with that. Did you?
We chose number 1.
Okay. Thank you. And also I have something else. I'd like to, promotion of Nick Gout from probationary firefighter to first-class firefighter. He'll have his year in October the 16th. I'd like to get approval to move him to the full-time status, first-class firefighter.
Make motion he be promoted on October the 16th.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And just a clarification on the application, we're providing conditional.
Correct.
Yeah.
That he passes everything
Right.
for all obligations that he
You
needs.
need a number 2 in case one don't.
Well, let's go with mine. We'll go from there. Yeah, okay. The next, this is Fire Prevention Week. We're celebrating it this week, not next week. So Steve and his crews are all out to schools doing the smokehouse, and also wanted to remind you about the chili supper Friday night.
Yeah.
So
4 to 8.
4 to 8.
Four to eight.
$6 for adults.
Okay, 4 to 8.
$6 all you need.
Great.
All you can eat.
Well, yeah.
Okay, 4 to
Okay.
8, Friday.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Jeff Smith.
I have 2 items to bring for you tonight. One of them is the payout number 6 for $344,969.43. It's the stuff that they've done over the last month out the plant. Is there any question on the payout?
I would move approval of the payout. Number 2. No, 6.
Second motion.
That one I can sign both of them. Also, I have to bring before you change order number. Huh?
We need to vote on that.
Yeah, probably, sorry. I was distracted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, Jeff.
Okay, I also have a change order number 2. And basically, I'll try to explain what it's for. The anaerobic tank modifications is a deduct of $992.69. The reason you're seeing change order number 2 is because we did not execute change order number 1. When we were getting ready to do the investigation of the duck bank, we dug down and found it, and when we dug down further, it was, had shifted, which we hadn't shown on the prints. So we asked for a cost estimate or change order on relocating that duck. To relocate the duck bank out of the area was $440,000. Or we could modify the anaerobic tank via the biological phosphorus removal, move it in 5 feet, and not have to relocate that duck bank. It came back with a cost that saved us $900 by not relocating that duck bank, by just moving the wall. It has no performance issues with the plant. We have already taken that. We had to take it in front of items and we made a modification to our construction permit, make sure IDM would agree to it before we did the modification. So we agreed that we would change it in as far as treatment capacity was concerned. So we decided I'm not going to do change order number 1. We'll not even accept it. We'll go ahead and do change order 2A. Save us $900. Well, at least save us $449,000.
You don't say not 9. We already say 900 for moving 5 foot.
Okay, the second one is 2B, is a RAS pump station piping modification. Part of that duct bank is where the RAS line, return activated sludge, goes back up to the VLR. With that, they have to lower that in one spot to get under that duct bank, which they can. But by doing that, when you put a dip in a pump line, you have to put an air escape so the air can get out of the line. It's at a higher point. So that's what the $15,403.96 is to put basically 2 air relief valves in the line, so it would reduce that pressure, air out of the line. It's just one of the hydraulic thing that you give it. It takes a little dip, air will pocket in there after a while, and it actually cuts the size of the pipe down there. So you want that to come out. And that was for $15,403.96. So the total of the change order is $14,411.27. So I would like you to accept change order 2. That's 283.
Make a motion, we accept change order number 2, $14,411.27.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Over there. Let's go sign this, Dan. Does it have to be signed, certainly?
So you've got a mayor, Dan Manis.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's all I have unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
You saved one line up there. Just to see if I'm paying attention. Well, I always watch what you do, girl. You're my model. I keep going after the same thing
just want to be mayor for the day. Felt like I was rushed.
Okay, so I take care of that paperwork. I was talked with Jeff Steele the other day. We was working on these maps and stuff for the trash containers. Oh, by the way, the trash containers went out today, started today. So they're being passed out today on today's routes. I received my new trash container, so I'm on Mondays now instead of Fridays. So that started today. So, and then the major day is the week of the 23rd, and that's when you'll change your routes. So that's very important that we stress, or if you see someone saying, use your trash cans as you are normal now. They're not going to change until the 23rd, that week of. So, on there. So, I did talk to Jeff Steele and about the GPS. He just needs some upgrades. What I would like to do is I'll have him come in next meeting and talk to us about this thing, but I kind of want to give you a heads up on what he's thinking and stuff, just to kind of upgrade his equipment. But he has been a really great help with what we did, the maps and all that stuff. So on there. Also, I was looking at, and I'm going to have to get another quote, I see, but I was looking at this. It's a lightweight loader. It would help us to pick up limbs and furniture and whatever. And it has a dump bed in the back, and it has a gram that picks it up and puts it in there. Just talked to Ashley. In my edit money, I have put in there for a garbage truck, used one, and I used one of these. If I combined that money since we did end up buying a new one, and that's come out tip. But since it's coming out of there, I felt like I should probably go ahead and buy it. I got a price on this new one of those instead of buying the used one. So just kind of giving you a heads up what's coming. I'd like to have it next week, but that's okay. I don't know if they have any in stock after the storms down south.
Demo one?
Yeah, get a demo one for a week. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'll try that. I said, let's demo that out. So, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea what's the cost on that baby would be. So, is there any other thing? Oh, tomorrow's Stellar, 10 o'clock. What's that mean?
Do you want to share with the board the community crossing mansion grant situation?
Yes, we do. Yes.
As you're aware, back in the middle of August, we applied for community crossing matching grant funds through NDOT. We applied for 5 projects, totaling right at $1 million for the 5 projects. On the 19th of September, we received an awards letter from NDOT telling us that we will be receiving $701,715.29. They approved projects number 1 and number 3. Project number 1 was for Lincoln Street from Walnut Street to Main Street. The plan is to replace all of the curb and gutter, construct new sidewalk with ADA compliant ramps, repave the street, and provide appropriate storm drainage through that area. Also, that project will be funded through the Redevelopment Commission, and the Redevelopment Commission has expressed an interest in adding streetlights to that section of project. Streetlights are not eligible for community crossing matching grant funding, so that will have to be 100% from the city for the streetlights. The streetlights would be extended from Main Street up to just south of the hospital, where the streetlights in from the Lincoln Street project from 8 or so years ago. In all hopefulness, they will match the streetlights going to the north and will complete that project. Project number 3 was for some overlay work throughout the city. That was in the amount of $103,392.85, and included in that project is Franklin Street from Washington to Central, Fort Street from the railroad north to Main Street, Nightingale, its entire length from Barshall to Greenview, and 10th Street from Broadway to Lincoln. That will be an overlay project much like what we saw this spring from our community crossing programs from last year. NDOT told us that there was an excess of $240 million of applications submitted. I think more than twice the number of communities and counties submitted this year than last year, and they had a little over 150 million to disperse. So I suppose on the average we did okay. We got a little bit more than the average. Any questions?
Would you share that with council, please?
I will. One other thing, just very quickly, not on your agenda, we have been working on the intersection improvement project at Barshall and Montgomery. It is nearly complete. We've got a little bit of seal work to do and then put down some pavement markings and get our permanent signs installed, but I believe it came out very nicely. It's a very big intersection, and trucks should be able to traverse it efficiently. And I think it really looks all in all pretty well.
That's what it was out there the other day.
Okay. So, again, Stellar's tomorrow. The group will be in here at 10, a little bit before, and we'll be here until 1. Yeah. We'll do 11. Okay. Any questions or anything board? Approve the adjournment. Okay, second. Okay, thanks. Bye.